Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Shreya Savijay. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Tuesday, the 23rd of November. Retreating monsoon rains batter southern India. PM Modi assures help for flood-hit Karnataka. Activists stage pro-freedom protest in Sindh highlight Pakistani atrocities. And Sri Lanka begins trial of 25 accused in Easter bombings, next hearing in January. And now for all the details. Torrential rainfall and floods have battered South Indian states in the past few weeks because of the retreating monsoon. Extremely heavy rainfall battered southern cities of Bengaluru and Chennai on Monday, leaving roads and residential areas waterlogged. In Karnataka's capital Bengaluru, one of the areas which has borne the brunt of the rains, there has been power cuts and damage to property. Prime Minister Modi on Tuesday spoke to Karnataka Chief Minister Basvaraj Bommai and offered centre's all necessary cooperation and assistance.
Rains of retreating monsoon winds battered southern Indian states on Monday, leaving roads in residential areas waterlogged. Extremely heavy rainfall has been wreaking havoc in Bengaluru, the capital city of southern Karnataka state, as the water levels in Madiwala Lake and Yalanka Lake rose and it ultimately overflowed, leading to waterlogging on the streets. There have been no reports of any deaths in the rains, but the normal life was thrown out of gear as low-lying areas got inundated following heavy rains. Rescue teams and relief material were deployed in the affected areas.
There's a lot of built-up area around, and although the revenue records, old records show that there is only 8 feet stormwater drain, but that is insufficient now in the given conditions. We require at least 30 to 40 feet wide drain to also drain off the water. So we are working on that to see how comprehensive remodeling of the drains can be taken up.
Karnataka State Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai on Tuesday visited and inspected the flood-affected areas in Bengaluru. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday also spoke to the Chief Minister and took stock of the flood situation, arisen due to the heavy rains. He assured centres all necessary cooperation and assistance. Chief Minister Bommai had earlier announced relief for people whose homes have been damaged and to rebuild infrastructure. For the past 2 weeks, incessant rainfall lashed several districts in neighbouring Tamil Nadu state, inundating several areas. On Monday, 2 central teams inspected several regions of the state to assess the damage caused by recent torrential rains and flooding. So far, 16 people have been killed due to heavy rains and floods this month. India's Weather Office has predicted widespread light to moderate rainfall in Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu states during the next few days.
Indian Army Colonel Santosh Babu, who laid down his life on his observation post while resisting an attack by the Chinese army in northern Galwan Valley last year, was awarded the second highest wartime gallantry medal posthumously by President Ramnath Kovind on Tuesday. The investiture ceremony also witnessed the awarding of 5 Veer Chakras, 4 of which were posthumous for the fighting in Galwan clash.
Galwan Valley clash hero Colonel Santosh Babu was awarded India's second highest wartime gallantry medal, the Mahavir Chakra, posthumously by President Ramnath Kovind at a defence investiture ceremony at the Presidential Palace on Tuesday. The late colonel's mother and wife received the award from the President. Babu, the commanding officer of the 16th Bihar Regiment, was awarded the medal for resisting the Chinese army attack while establishing an observation post in the face of the enemy in the Galwan Valley in the northern Ladakh sector during Operation Snow Leopard. He was among the 20 Indian soldiers who laid down their lives in the fiercest clash between two sides in June last year. The investiture ceremony also witnessed the awarding of 5 Veer Chakras, 4 of which were posthumous for the fighting in Galwan Valley. The awards for these gallant soldiers were received by their wives. The only Veer Chakra, the third highest wartime gallantry award, awarded for the fight to a person who survived, is Havaldar Tejinder Singh of the 3 Medium Regiment. Among other notable names who were honoured during the investiture ceremony include Indian Air Force Chief Air Chief Marshal Vivek R. Chaudhary and Navy Chief Designate Vice Admiral R. Hari Kumar, who received the Param Vishisht Seva Medal.
Activists of National Organization JSMM GA Sindh Mutahida Mehis have been holding demonstration across Sindh to demand independence from what they term as fascist, terrorist and theocratic state of Pakistan. Activists have long accused that Pakistani army uses enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings and political repression as tools to silence voices of Sindhis. JSMM has been demanding Sindhu Desh, a separate homeland for Sindhis. There are several nationalist parties in the province who advocate for a free Sindh nation, calling Pakistan an occupier that has been exploiting their natural resources. They have long been requesting United Nations to take notice of Pakistani atrocities against innocent Sindhis to muzzle dissent. An abrupt withdrawal of most foreign development support after the Taliban seized power on August 15 from Afghanistan's Western-backed government has sent the economy into free fall. A Red Cross official has raised concerns that the sanctions and donor freezes are cutting off basic services in the country and called on donors to find creative ways to prevent a massive humanitarian crisis.
A Red Cross official has raised concerns that sanctions and donor freezes are cutting off basic services in Afghanistan and called on donors to find creative ways to prevent a massive humanitarian crisis. To help fill the void, ICRC International Committee of the Red Cross Director of Operations Dominic Stillhart on Monday said the charity has begun paying salaries and distributing medical supplies to 18 medical facilities to prevent the collapse. Hospital workers who had not been paid for months are walking to work for 2 hours because they cannot afford transport to work, Dominic added.
Needs are far too big for humanitarian aid to do the trick in this country here. Humanitarian aid was actually never meant to substitute a dysfunctional system, let alone replace collapsing economy. And as winter sets in, the policies that were meant to avoid supporting those that are in power are now instead freezing out millions of Afghans of the very basic needs they require to survive.
The United Nations on Monday pushed for urgent action to prop up Afghanistan's banks, warning that a spike in people unable to repay loans, lower deposits and a cash liquidity crunch could cause the financial system to collapse within months. The United States is working with the United Nations, UNDP and other international institutions and countries to find ways to offer liquidity, to infuse, to see to it that people of Afghanistan can take advantage of international support in ways that don't flow into the coffers of the Taliban, State Department spokesman Ned Price has said.
This latest escalation in violence demonstrates the fact of the...
In news from Sri Lanka, around 25 men accused of plotting the 2019 Sri Lanka Easter Sunday bombings were produced before the Colombo High Court on Tuesday as lawyers warned of a long and complicated legal battle ahead. Earlier on Monday, Sri Lanka's former police chief Pujith Jayasundara was indicted with 855 charges of criminal negligence for failing to act despite receiving prior intelligence warnings in the attacks that killed nearly 270 people.
Around 25 suspects accused of plotting the Easter Sunday bombings that killed nearly 270 people in 2019 were produced before the Colombo High Court under heavy security as a trial began in the case on Tuesday. These suspects include Mohammad Naufar, who officials say masterminded the attack and is linked to the Islamic State militant group. The police have filed over 23,000 charges against them, including conspiring to murder and aiding and abetting the attacks. Lawyers said the charges were too many in number and the case could take as much as a decade to conclude. The court on Tuesday fixed the next hearing in the case for January 12.
In my opinion, it's a futile exercise. It's not going to bring any results. 23,000 charges have been framed against all the 25 suspects. It is very unusual and perhaps it is historical insofar as the history of Sri Lanka is concerned.
Earlier on Monday, the court indicted Pujit Jayasundara, Sri Lanka's former police chief, with 855 charges of criminal negligence for failing to act, despite receiving prior intelligence warnings about the attacks. The string of bombings on April 21, 2019 targeted 3 churches and 3 hotels, killing at least 267 people.
Moving on to news from Nepal. Nepal has started inoculating its teenage population using the Pfizer vaccine in hospitals across the Himalayan nation since Monday. In the 3-day vaccination drive, the Nepal government aims to inoculate up to 46,000 people.
The health authorities in Nepal have started inoculating children above 12 years of age and teenagers below 18 in hospitals across the Himalayan nation. Children below 18 years, especially students, on Monday were seen standing in queues to get jabbed as the government rolled the US-donated Pfizer vaccine for the teenage population. The country had received 100,620 doses of Pfizer in October. The authorities plan to inoculate around 25 million people by early 2022, for which they need about 40 million double shots doses. Nepal has so far been able to arrange only around 23 million doses.
First, I am very scared about COVID-19, but now I am feeling secure.
हजुर त्यो त अब सुरुमा त अब आफूलाई भ्याक्सिन लगाउने भन्दा पनि अब यो खालको बच्चाहरूलाई चाँडै लगाइदिन पाए हुन्थ्यो जस्तो चाहिँ नि अब लागेको थियो किनभने अब उनीहरूले अब आफ्नो प्रब्लमहरू बताउन सक्दैन हैन केही गरी भइ पनि हाल्यो भने पनि अनि त्यही भएर फर्स्टमा अब हामीलाई भन्दा पनि उनीहरुको लागि जरुरी थियो तर अब ढिलै भए पनि अब लगाउन पाइयो अहिलेसम्म अब हामीले सेफली नै राख्यौं उलाई स्कुलहरु पनि अब खुल्ला भए पनि पठाएनौं हैन.
Meanwhile, Nepal and India on Tuesday signed a memorandum of understanding for reciprocal recognition of COVID-19 vaccination certificates. The Himalayan nation on Tuesday reported 7,300 active cases of coronavirus with 11,509 deaths so far.
More than 90 artisans and craftsmen are being trained to enhance their skills as part of a 2-week-long workshop which is underway in India's northeastern Manipur state. The initiative aims to preserve the dying traditional crafts and designs of Manipur.
A 2-week-long strategic design intervention workshop for new product development and production capability enhancement for Manipur's crafts is underway in Imphal in India's northeastern state of Manipur. The workshop has been organized by the government's mission for economic empowerment of traditional artisans and craftsmen. It aims to preserve the dying traditional crafts and designs of Manipur and promote artisans involved in doll making, dry flower, bead jewelry, loin loom woven fabric, cane and bamboo and wood crafts.
So we have understood their processes, their material, and we have developed a contemporary product which can target a large amount of international market, and also we have taken the motifs, the form which are typically belongs to Lumpi.
Hi, I show them carnai migishu way, doga, I couldn't show Mingon the Sharago, Utko Yawe, me the Gitambushu Yawe, Ajay.
Under the program, more than 90 artisans are getting trained to enhance the skills in clay pottery, cane and bamboo, stone craft and textile, especially traditional shawls, moirangpi. Handicrafts and handloom, being an important sector in the state, plays a significant role in sustaining the livelihood of the people.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now, viewers can watch this show on southasianewsline.com. You can also visit us on facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.